Close your eyes, not to escape, but to enter, not to drift, but to arrive. Because what we're about to do here is different. This isn't a lesson, not a list, not another formula to win at life. This is a threshold, a soft doorway into a space most people never touch, because they move too fast, they think too loud, they carry too much. But you, right now, you're slowing down, you're peeling back, you're stepping out of the noise and into the quiet place where the real you waits, unbothered, unimpressed, completely present. And that's where we begin, not with what you know, not with what you've read, but with what you've always felt, beneath the clutter, beneath the pressure, beneath the performance. There's a part of you that already knows. You're meant for something deeper, not more productive, not more successful, not more impressive, deeper. A life that doesn't just look good, but feels true. A life where your nervous system doesn't flinch every time you open your eyes in the morning. A life where your heart doesn't live on defense. A life where peace isn't something you chase, it's something you live from. But you can't touch that kind of life by staying who you've been. You can't access it through striving, proving, climbing. You access it by letting go. Letting go of the mask, letting go of the script, letting go of who you were told to be, so you can finally become who you actually are. And becoming starts with stopping. So stop here, breathe here, be here. This moment, this breath, is not a means to an end. It is the end. It's the point. It's the door. And behind that door isn't some magical version of you. It's the realist version. The quiet one. The steady one. The one that doesn't have to be loud to be felt. The one that doesn't need validation because they remember what it feels like to be whole. You don't need more answers right now. You need access. Access to the truth that's been buried under years of performing your identity. So here's the invitation. Don't chase another breakthrough. Don't grip for meaning. Just listen. Listen to the breath. Listen to the spaces between thoughts. Listen to the part of you that already knows. Everything you've been seeking is already inside. You don't need to push to reach it. You need to pause, to feel it. And you're doing that now, right here, right on time, right on purpose. This is not the start of another journey. This is the start of the one you were born for. The one where you stop reaching and start remembering. Now breathe. We've only just begun. Let it deepen. Let this quiet stretch further into you, not like silence, but like space. Room inside your being where truth can finally breathe. Because now that you've stepped into this moment fully, you can begin to feel just how much of your life has been built around avoidance. Avoiding stillness, avoiding softness, avoiding the terrifying possibility that you are already enough and have been all along. Why terrifying? Because if that's true, then everything you've been chasing, every goal, every approval, every shiny outcome, was never the point. It was never about reaching. It was about remembering. And that remembering, it only happens when the noise dies down, when the mind stops narrating, when the ego stops managing the moment, and something underneath all of that, something older, starts to whisper. It doesn't speak in words. It speaks in presence. It says, "You were never meant to feel small in your own body. You were never meant to hustle for love. You were never meant to carry everyone else's expectations on your back like bricks. You were meant to be, fully, unapologetically, wildly, softly, freely. But somewhere along the way, you lost the rhythm. Not because you're broken, but because the world teaches forgetting as a survival skill. And so, you forgot. You forgot how to sit with yourself without distraction. You forgot how to breathe without bracing. You forgot how to rest without guilt. You forgot that existing is enough. But this moment, this breath right now, it's unraveling the forgetting. Slowly, gently, truthfully. And as it unravels, you begin to feel it. The tightness starts to soften. The mask starts to slip. The old narrative that you must become more to matter starts to crumble. And beneath it, just you. Not the version of you the world taught, not the version that adapted, but the one that remembers how to be at home inside their own skin. That version is not in a hurry. That version does not perform for praise. That version doesn't explain itself. It just is. And in that being, you start to see. Stillness is not passive. Presence is not empty. They are powerful. They are truthful. They are the doorway back to yourself. And now, you've stepped through. You didn't force it. You didn't earn it. Stay open. Let this breath carry you further, not into something new, but into something real. Because now you're no longer sitting at the surface of your life. You've begun to sink, to drop, to descend out of the noise of the mind and into the wordless truth that lives in your body. This is where the real remembering happens. Not in ideas, not in mantras, in sensation, in silence, in presence. The world taught you to bypass this place, to skip over the discomfort, to distract when things got quiet, to perform when things got uncertain. But there's no bypassing now. You're in it, and something in you knows this is exactly where you're meant to be. Because here, beneath all the performance, all the overthinking, all the identities you've tried on and off like costumes, you find what was never lost. Yourself. Not the self made of routines and roles. The felt self. The part of you that doesn't speak in words, but in knowing. The part that sees clearly, even when your mind is fogged. The part that remains unshaken, even when your world falls apart. The part that doesn't need fixing, branding, or defending, because it was never broken. And as you sit in this presence, you start to feel the absurdity of everything you were taught. That you had to earn rest, that you had to achieve worth, that you had to be someone else. Stronger, faster, prettier, smarter, just to belong. But now, without doing a single thing, you feel more whole than you ever did in all that striving. You feel clearer, without answers. You feel stronger in your stillness. You feel closer to your truth in this silence than you ever did in all the noise. Because this silence isn't empty, it's full of you. And that fullness begins to flood places in you that were dry for years. The places that went numb because feeling was unsafe. The places that hardened because being soft got you hurt. The places that collapsed into people-pleasing because being authentic didn't feel allowed. But here, now, in this space you've chosen to create, those places start to open. Not all at once, not with drama, but like sunlight melting frost. They open slowly, gently, truthfully. And as they do, you begin to reclaim what was always yours. Your rhythm, your softness, your wildness, your voice, your being. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to label it. You just need to stay with it. Because this is the root of all healing. To come home to yourself and not leave. No matter what feelings rise, no matter what memories come, no matter what discomfort emerges, you don't run, you stay. Because you are no longer afraid of your own depth. You are no longer at war with your own silence. You are no longer interested in who the world told you to be, when the truth of who you are feels this powerful, this grounded, this alive. So breathe here, feel here, root here. You don't need to become anything. You are already becoming yourself. Let it deepen even more. Let the stillness grow roots inside you. Let it stretch out through your chest, down your arms, into your fingertips. Let it reach your spine, your belly, your breath. Because this stillness isn't just peace, it's permission. Permission to stop holding yourself together. Permission to stop pretending everything is fine. Permission to let the masks dissolve and the armor soften. You've carried so much, held so much in your body, in your silence, in your nervous system. Years of being the strong one, the reliable one, the one who never lets anyone see the cracks. But cracks are how the truth gets in. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to stop patching them and start listening to them. Because underneath every crack in your identity is a part of you that's begging to be free. Not to be fixed, to be felt. This is what most people never do. They never slow down long enough to feel what they've buried. They keep pushing, producing, perfecting, terrified of what they might find if they simply sat still. But you're here now. You're not running. You're not escaping. You're doing the most courageous thing of all. You're facing yourself. And in that facing, you begin to meet the parts of you that were never welcome at the table. The messy parts, the emotional parts, the too much parts, the wild, raw, open parts that you locked away so you could be digestible, presentable, safe. But safe isn't real if it costs you you. And now, those parts are rising, not to break you, to bring you back, because they never stopped existing. They never went away. They've been waiting for this moment, for you to make space for them to breathe. So breathe with them. Breathe with the grief. Breathe with the rage. Breathe with the tenderness. Breathe with the longing. Don't label them. Don't manage them. Let this moment stretch as wide as it needs to. Let your breath go deeper than it ever has. Not to calm you, but to wake you. Wake the parts of you that went numb because the world told you being okay was more important than being honest. You don't need to be okay right now. You need to be here, fully, unedited, uncontrolled. Let the truths that have lived in your chest for years, the ones that never had a place to land, finally rise. Let them shake. Let them stir. Let them say what no one ever gave them space to say. Because your wholeness doesn't come from holding it all together. It comes from letting what's real take up space. This is what presence really is. Not just breathing and focusing, but letting go of the performance. Letting your shoulders drop without needing a reason. Letting your voice quiver without fixing it. Letting your story breathe without rushing to the next chapter. Because now, you're starting to see everything you thought you had to chase was already inside you. You were just too busy performing stability to feel your truth. But now that you've slowed down, now that you've softened, you're making contact with the most sacred thing you possess. Your raw, present, alive self. The one who feels before she speaks. The one who pauses before she pushes. The one who listens more than she explains. She's not trying to impress. She's not trying to win. She's just being. And that beingness is magnetic, healing, undeniable. Because there is nothing more powerful than someone who is rooted in themselves. And that's what you're becoming now. Not through effort, through remembering. Remembering that you don't need permission to take up space. That your softness is not weakness. That your truth does not need to be palatable to be valid. You're allowed to be inconvenient. You're allowed to be intense. You're allowed to be fully alive. And you don't owe anyone an apology for that. What you owe is your loyalty to yourself, to your inner rhythm, to the quiet knowing inside you that says, this is who I am beneath all the noise. And if that knowing is unfamiliar, that's okay. You're not late. You're not behind. You're right on time to reclaim your life from the performance. This is the place where you start listening inward again. This is the breath that starts writing a new rhythm, one that doesn't burn you out, one that doesn't edit your truth, one that doesn't trade your aliveness for applause. You are not a product. You are not a brand. You are a being. And right now, that being is finally being held by you, the one you were always waiting for. So keep breathing, keep softening, keep saying yes to the real you every time she rises, because every yes is a return, and every return brings you closer to the life that actually fits. And now, here you are, not at the end, not at a conclusion, but in the most honest place you've ever stood, the center of yourself. No script, no armor, no audience, just you, unfolded, unhidden, unapologetic. And maybe it's quiet here. Maybe it feels unfamiliar. Maybe a part of you still whispers, am I allowed to live like this? You are. You always were. You were just waiting for permission from a world that profits from your confusion. A world that teaches you to climb over yourself just to be seen, to sacrifice truth for acceptance, to shrink for approval, then wonder why you feel so far from home. But now, home isn't a place. It's a presence, and you're standing in it. And you didn't get here by becoming better. You got here by becoming honest. by softening instead of striving, by feeling instead of fixing, by finally listening to the part of you that was never confused, only ignored. The part of you that knew. You don't have to be louder to matter. You don't have to be perfect to be peaceful. You don't have to be more to be enough. Because what you've remembered here, through breath, through presence, through letting go, is that you've been whole this entire time. Covered in dust, wrapped in rolls, armored by fear, yes, but still whole. And now that the dust has settled, you're beginning to see your reflection clearly again. Not in a mirror, but in your own stillness. In the way your breath lands without panic. In the way your truth rises without shame. In the way you sit with yourself without needing to fix, explain, or rush. This is the sacred, not found in temples or theories, but in the way you finally feel safe inside your own skin. You don't need to chase the light. You are the light. You don't need to find your voice. You just need to stop silencing it. You don't need to arrive somewhere better. You need to remember that here is holy when you are fully in it. And now you are. So take this with you, not like advice, like oxygen. Let it live in your breath. Let it echo in your bones.